slippery. Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Learn nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. If you make a living break, confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless, lane roll games, bitch with the chest. Beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. It's just as important and likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Quitting was never an option.
From the steep banks of last week's Dover, Delaware, to the even steeper banks of the last great Coliseum, tonight we're here at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Chris Lilly Designs Night Race from the online Speedway Racing Leagues on Split Second Broadcasting. I'm Elliot Henderson, alongside Ross Brockman, and I know we have a lot to talk about, Ross, but tonight, what are you most interested looking forward to?
Yeah, I think the most exciting part about this race is it's somewhat of a quick one. 150 laps at most tracks would be a longer race, but here at Bristol half-mile track, that's going to go pretty quickly. I think, there's not going to be much fuel saving or any fuel options here because it's only 150 laps. But I think tires are important, and we'll see. I think if we get some green flag runs here, we're going to see some tire saving to maybe save them for later in the run. I think you could see running the bottom to maybe conserve your tires a little bit, but I think we saw in qualifying some fast speeds from the bottom, fast speeds from the top, so a couple different choices as far as where you run. One of the best tracks, nothing better than Bristol. A Bristol night race tonight, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mentioned we had a lot to talk about. Obviously, strategy is going to be part of it, and I agree with you on the tires. It'll be interesting to see what these guys do, if they try to split it in thirds or if they try to split it right in half. I know a lot of guys normally go the 50 to 100 and then finish it out route. Some guys might try to go to 75 on tires. We'll have to see how it goes. But to set the field really quick, tonight, Kendall Carpenter starts, I believe it's 2 laps down. He has some type of penalty. So we'll watch that unfold. He technically has provisional pole here, but he will not start there. He'll start from pits 2 laps down is what I'm understanding, and we'll update that as the race goes on. He's your points leader coming in, a 2-point lead over Cole Freilich. Those two have been going at it all season, and it kind of hit ahead last week at Dover where Kendall ended up with a penalty, and now he's got to suffer from that penalty going into Bristol. So Freilich in the hot seat here has an opportunity to really turn this one around, considering he was nearly 30 points out, I believe, at one point this season, as we look at the back half of this season. And we're going to run through the grid here as the cars will pace for about 2 or 3 laps and check their pit stalls. Starting up front, because of this issue with Kendall Carpenter, Nolan Sanford will actually start on pole, and Joe Armstrong will start second. We're going to still run the bottom graphic, but it'll be a little bit offset as I'll let Ross Brockman go through the next row.
For sure, yeah. So then you have Chad Stearns in the 31 and the 21 of Stephen Gibson.
Then Jack Painter will line up in 5th with Gabe Wood in 6th.
You talked about the 15 of Cole Freilich. He'll start in 8th, and then the 22 of Justin Knudsen.
Harry Grindel will roll off in 9th with Caden Reif in 10th.
James Wright in the number 50 car alongside the 41 of Mo Perry.
Chris Pervolarkis, who actually jumped up through the points last week after Dover, will roll off 13th. William Schmidt, another one, sitting right there in 3rd, having missed a couple races, will roll off 14th.
Starting in the 16th spot, we have the 02 of John Daniels, and then in 17th, the 051 of Tristan Baker.
And after them, you've got Isaac Johnson with Henry Kaloof.
13 of Levi Wolf in 20th, and the 243 of Chelsea Carter.
I'm going to fix myself. It's Kalhoff. If I get that wrong one more time, I think he'll be a little upset. Michael Deitch, I believe, will roll off 22nd with Jackson Sims in 23rd.
The 16 of Ruby Estes and the 43 of Brighton Lindauer are 24th and 25th.
And rolling off shotgun on the field will be Jeremy Cook. He is the last entry, it looks like. And I believe he's on track. 26 cars roll off tonight. Kendall Carpenter obviously not up in the first row like we talked about. It'll be Nolan Sanford leading him down, and he chose the outside lane. That's something we're going to be looking at all night. Brockman, where would you rather be, on the outside or the inside?
I think on this restart, that's probably the place to be, or at least on this initial start, and other restarts if you get that chance. But I think once they get rolling, they'll probably want to maybe roll the bottom a little bit, but your passing lane will definitely be up on the top.
All right, Pace Truck's going to lead them down here through turns 3 and 4, and I believe we're going to get the green flag this time by. We should see that Pace Truck. There you go. Take a nice hard right. Sanford in control, waiting for the green. There it is. We're off, and away we go. Nolan Sanford, Joe Armstrong take him down into turn 1. Armstrong with a really good run through turn 1. He's going to clear Sanford. And I was going to say Armstrong's the one that came from the Kevin Harvick's Kern County Speedway. Got himself the win last time out, so a bit of a short track ace, and he is gone like the wind here off of turn 4 out of the first lap.
Yeah, I think a lot of these drivers probably were wondering, like, how much grip do they have? Oh, we got a big wreck already. Multiple cars.
I heard a bit of that contact going on, but I was kind of in the same boat with you. I was wondering exactly how much grip these guys had. We talked about them. We didn't talk about it, but they were complaining about the cars being really loose in practice and in qualifying, and it looks like the middle of the field there from about 12th on back may have gotten stacked up. John Daniels looks like he has maybe the most damage, missing the front end of that car. We'll go back and get a replay for you.
And the 16 of Ruby Estes there, you saw some damage on the front of the car and on the rear of the car. It's common here at Bristol. There's no place to go with this short track. It's very easy to get drawn in. We'll see what happened here.
Looks like the 51 just kind of got tagged, and from there it just didn't stop evolving. And a lot of cars, again, like you said, just nowhere to go. You're running so fast through these corners, and they're about 15-second laps, 14.5-second laps. There's not a lot of time for you to make a decision, and you could see just a bit of contact there. I'm trying to see exactly who that was. I know it was the 51 of Tristan Baker. I believe maybe that was the 16 of Estes as well.
I think, yeah, and I think the 50 of James Wright was involved there. Yeah, the 50 here is I believe is got into the 51 and started that, and then kind of no place to go for the 63 of Henry Kaloff.
Yeah, big carnage. Only a couple laps in too.
This is interesting because you had talked about the pre-race. We talked a little bit about Kendall Carpenter and what he has to do tonight. Obviously being up in that points battle and having the penalty, as we see Ruby Estes here getting pinballed around. Not fun. Especially you put in the practice time tonight. You maybe practiced a few times in this week leading up to this race, and then early on you're already with a damaged car. But we have a handful of 6 or 7 different drivers down on pit road trying to fix some damage. I think the one thing that's nice is at a track like Bristol, if you have a little bit of damage, you could still go out there and race. So hopefully these drivers can get back out there and still compete tonight. But yeah, we were talking Kendall Carpenter, the fact that he now is I think this caution's got to help. Being 2 laps down, I'm thinking that it probably kind of a reset, at least to be able to be on track for this next restart. But now he's going to have other drivers that are either a lap down or multiple laps down to contend with, as far as maybe trying to get some free passes and get back in this. So it'll be maybe it's more of a wash as I talk myself out of it, but it'll be interesting to see what this does for him.
Yeah, I'm interested trying to see if they're going to give him the free pass here. It looks like he's going to the top. No, it looks like he's going to drop to the back, so maybe he has a bit of an EOL to still suffer from, and he's not going to actually get a wave. I thought he was going to get one of those laps back and get a little lucky here with an early yellow, but it looks like they're going to keep him 2 laps down as Pace Truck lights are off. And I just want to mention that was John Daniels in the 02 that kind of got hooked and sent up in the outside wall. He is going to continue. Was given an EOL, must have some engine damage, but he is still on track, missing the whole nose of his car. But to Ross's point, not a lot of aero that matters here. You're just trying to make sure that that engine's still rolling. Joe Armstrong will lead them off. Nolan Sanford is going to have to see if he can make the bottom work. Joe picks the outside. Green flag comes back out. Armstrong gone. Sanford a little slow on the get-go. And now Chad Stearns looks to the outside for that third position.
Yeah, Armstrong knows exactly. Must have been practicing those restarts or something because, yeah, knows exactly how much throttle this car will allow on those starts and just nailed both of them so far. But, yeah, you've got to, from third on back, this battle here, the 31 of Chad Stevens and then the 97 of Jack Painter getting to the outside. I think the outside is the place to be to get around drivers, but then I think you can kind of save your stuff and keep pace if you run towards the bottom more. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys will get that sorted out to try to get to the bottom.
And Justin Knutson is all over those rear tires, sliding it out of the corner. But to your point, I've heard a lot of the guys say that the inside is where you want to be to save tire, and that's why you see a lot of the front runners running down there. And honestly, whatever Joe does, I think I'm going to follow, considering he dominated at Kern, and he's a bit of a short track ace here. So definitely knows how to put power down the right way. We've seen that on both restarts, already out to a half-second lead as these guys all try to battle for about fifth on back. First battle going on between the 21 of Steven Gibson and the 70 of Harry Grindell, who now starts to fall victim to Cole Freilich on the inside.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cole Freilich is, somebody that we're always watching, especially leading the points for some of the season, or at least potentially tonight, depending on what happens with Carpenter. But yeah, kind of starting middle of the top 10 tonight and trying to move his way up.
He has gained one position, though, hasn't gone backwards. Grindell's the one that's kind of moved, started in 10th, and is currently up to 6th. Not sure if he kind of used the outside to his advantage, assuming he did, but William Schmidt is another one, started back in 15th, up to 8th. Obviously won at Montreal, trying to back that up. Came in here about 3rd or 4th in points. Again, missed a couple races, but still trying to track these guys down and make something work. And a little shout out with Cole Freilich's paint scheme. Obviously, October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Coming in here with a pink scheme tonight. Not sure if he also ran it at Dover, but looking pretty good there, supporting all the breast cancer awareness that's going on this month.
And post that wreck that we thought took out a lot of cars, really it really hasn't. We saw the 50 there on track of James Wright still on the lead lap, able to get back going. Here's the 15 of Cole Freilich. Just you see all these drivers getting to the bottom, trying to save their stuff. I think that's immediately after that restart here. It seems like we got a chance to keep this green, which is good. I think that these drivers, that's going to be the key. And then at some point you're going to probably have lap traffic too, so it'll be interesting to see if you save your stuff. I think that Armstrong was so good at that at Kern. Then once he got to lap traffic, able to just make passes pretty clean because he still had some rubber to use up.
Yeah, that is, when we talk about short track aces, it definitely has to do with how you maneuver lap traffic, because that will become a very big issue early on in these races. So we're going to have to see how he does. I know Jack Painter was pretty fast there, though, and he's already starting to track him down. It was about a 1 second lead. Painter's already got it back down to a half second. So definitely don't take your eyes away from those two, as these battles back here for about 4th, 5th, and 6th all kind of heat up. They're under a blanket with Nolan Sanford kind of backing up to him.
And you get to these short tracks like this, and they're so often when you see a line of cars like this all behind the 52 of Sanford. It's probably because the 52 of Sanford's maybe the slower of the group, but that's not necessarily by maybe that's by choice. Maybe he's trying to save his stuff, but that usually brings the drivers behind you all kind of in line, and they kind of get antsy. You see the 70 of Harry Grindell looking on the outside. I think you can kind of tell when that happens. That's either somebody that's used up their stuff and everyone's trying to figure out how to get by them, or they're trying to save their tires. It looks like the 70's going to try the bottom now. I think that's going to set up the 21 of Steven Gibson to jump to the outside here, and I kind of like that outside lane as almost a passing lane. You can see the 21's able to just drive right by and then get back to the bottom to start saving your stuff again.
And Steven Gibson's another one to really watch here. He ran really well at Richmond, ended up 3rd in that race. At Kern, ended up 3rd in that race. Potentially had a shot at the end, but couldn't make it work. And he was up there with Jack Painter and yeah, Jack Painter and Joe Armstrong. So definitely someone to watch on these short tracks. Probably why he showed up again tonight, made the pass, and moved his way into fourth to chase down Justin Knudsen now for third.
We see these drivers. We got the 70. I believe that's Jeremy Cook, who is he's definitely moved up 18 positions since the start, and he's running right up by the wall. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what that does to his tires later in the run. But it's working because now he's to the outside of the 15 of Cole Freilich.
Yeah, it seems to be the much quicker lane. I mean, he's just driving by these guys every single corner, it looks like. And again, we'll have to see how that ends up working for him as he's up in the wall now. But it'll make the car a lot tighter as the run goes on and kind of burn up that right front. You see him go back to the bottom. So you're going to have to kind of maneuver back and forth. And we'll just have to see how that works out for him over the run. Nothing really happening up front. Joe Armstrong actually catching. I believe that's the 02 of John Daniels with the damage. Has about a 1 second lead over Jack Painter now, and it's kind of driving away. I will say the only person that's really hurt by this, besides obviously the people that are hurt by damage, like John Daniels, Rubius, Brian Lindauer, and others, Kendall Carpenter is still 2 laps down and running in 25th. So for someone like Cole Freilich or Christopher Velarkis or William Schmidt, they're like, keep this green, we like this. But Kendall Carpenter's looking for a way out, and he's not even going to get one because Bryden Lindauer and now John Daniels are both a lap down. So it's going to be tough sledding for your points leader tonight as this race continues.
Yeah, and even if you get a yellow, you're probably going to get to a point here now that you're going to need tires too. So there's no chance to do like a wave around or anything. So definitely a tough spot to be in going green. Yeah, I think the other his competitors are very excited about this. But the way that this race is kind of somewhat, we saw the 70 of Cook gain all those spots. It kind of reminds me almost maybe not as extreme as the real life Bristol race in the spring in the Cup Series, because those drivers were able to just kind of save their tires. But if you wanted at some point to just pass everybody, you could, but you're just worried that you're gonna burn up your stuff at some point or have issues where you don't have any tires left. So I think it's kind of a cool option here to see how that strategy works. And I was really impressed with Cook being able to get all the way up to the top 5 and now basically go into the saving mode. So it'll be interesting to see where that cycles him through.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically passed 20 cars, and I'd call that a massive success if he can try to manage that track position. Even if he drops to about 10th or so, he's up here. He did the hard work early, so we'll have to see. We're already nearly 40 laps into this 150-lap race, almost a third into it. So far, net gain for the 070 of Jeremy Cook is you can see Gibson trying to work on Knudsen and trying to get himself into that third place spot. They've got John Daniels just in front of him. Might be able to use him as a pick as he looks to the outside now, and he'll get there. And now they're going to have to work their way around John Daniels. Really good move by Gibson to put himself into third here.
And you can use that top lane just to get by somebody pretty easily. And he was kind of running almost kind of a middle lane, which I think initially to get by that 22. And I think you can do a little bit of that, so that way you can basically get the run off to get the position, but not be all the way up by the wall where you're really using your stuff up. So and interesting, now we're going to see the 70 of Cook try that outside lane and get around Knudsen here, and they're going to race some hard. Freilich's in the wall back there. Almost followed the 70 of Cook into the wall with them.
Yeah, right behind him. Freilich's trying to make it work. Got a little tight on exit, and now the 70 is going to block William Schmidt from going up there, and it looks like right now the 22 of Knudsen just went from third. He's going to almost fall outside the top 10 if this keeps happening. He's got to stop the bleeding somehow, but it looks like that top lane is where you want to be to make moves. He falls back all the way to where Sanford is now as they run 8th and 9th after both being up there inside the top 3, right at the end of the top 10.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, if you're able to save your tires enough, I think in this situation you don't want to pit under green at all. So if you can go as far as you can on these tires, that's going to be the play, because if you do have to pit because your tires are so bad, you're going to be down multiple laps. You might be fast, but you're going to be so far back that if a caution comes out, you'll be similar to what we talked about with the 20 of Carpenter. You're going to be locked kind of multiple laps down, and it'll be really tough to get him back. But Now the 70 running that top lane, getting into the wall. You can almost kind of do that a little bit here, which is crazy. You can kind of use the wall to slow you down enough to get your car to turn when you're running that top lane.
I'm going to say, if it doesn't give you damage, it actually helps you kind of rotate a bit. But it looks like he's already got some front end damage, so I'd be a little bit worried about doing any more to it before he gets in and gets that checked out and sees how bad it is, because yeah, there goes Cole Freilich right around him on the outside. No damage to that car after hitting the wall as hard as he did off of turn 4 that one time. But you can see the 070 has a little bit of it kicked in right on that front tail light as the other 70 car of Harry Grindel tries to get around him now for about that 5th spot. But it looks like Cook already kind of suffering from his from him working his way all the way up 20 positions, but running that outside for as long as he did.
And meanwhile, I was looking at these drivers, kind of their lap times, and I've seen that they're running faster than our leader Armstrong, but he's in a bunch of traffic, just got through a bunch of traffic, even made a 3-wide pass on the outside to get through some lap traffic. So that's something that these drivers now that we're looking at here, running up in that top 5 or just outside the top 5 for some of them. It's going to be lap traffic. You're going to have to navigate that here in a few laps.
Yeah, and as we approach traffic, Painter's actually lost a ton of time to Joe Armstrong. It's nearly a 4-second. It's over a 4-second lead now, and Gibson is right up on Painter for the 2nd spot. Gibson has something to say, and he's running faster than both the guys in front of him. And now he goes to the bottom to try to get under Painter, but we'll see how this works. That's what I'm interested in, too, is how these guys at the front really race, because obviously Painter's running the top now. Gibson's going to try to make the bottom work. Is the bottom still viable for passing, or is it really just top lane dominant? We'll see how Gibson can kind of make this work with Jack Painter, or if he'll have to catch some lap traffic and maneuver around Painter like he did before. But nope, makes it work on the bottom.
And I think as you get to lap traffic, a lot of times lap traffic, if they're probably, obviously they're going down a lap, so they maybe are struggling in some way. They used up their stuff, and once you use up your tires, the only lane that really works is the top. So when it comes to that being the best lane to pass people, if your lappers are using the top, you have to make the bottom work. So I think the bottom will work if you're battling for position to use a car as a pick. I think that's kind of a great way to do it once you get to the lap traffic on these long green flag runs like this, as we see Schmidt trying to get to the inside of Cook here.
Yeah, Schmidt's been trying to charge his way up there into the top 5. Obviously, Cook's still suffering with these tires. He's fallen way off of Freilich and Painter. Freilich actually catching Painter as well now, so it looks like maybe Painter went to the top a little too early, and now he's suffering from tire wear, or he's just trying to make his way around these lap cars, as they're pretty deep in them now, trying to get through everything that Joe Armstrong's already put behind him, as Armstrong's about to put 17 Caden Rife a lap down, and that is just not good for someone like Kendall Carpenter that's trying to get laps back.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a chance for Carpenter to gain some positions just from some of these drivers. We had the 50 of James Wright pitted. I'm not sure if obviously he was involved in that first yellow, but obviously some of these drivers are going to go through some of their tires pretty quickly if they have to pit, and they figure out, we're going to have looks like the 51 got down into the 45 of Sims there. 3 wide battling off the corner. That sometimes doesn't really work here. It's all in front of our leader, the 22.
I was about to say, leader Joe Armstrong right there, right behind them, watching all this happen, and could potentially see, I believe it happened in a cup race a while ago with, I believe it was Ryan Blaney was trying to get around lap cars, and they all just kind of wrecked in front of him. He had nowhere to go, completely destroyed his car, and ended up losing the race. He's going to split them. That's a dangerous move, but he's going to make it work. Wow. Joe Armstrong said, I gotta go, and I'm not dealing with any of you, and he made that work. That's a good move by him. But I wanted to go back to Kendall Carpenter really quick. It's got to be frustrating for him. He's driven all the way up to, I believe, Chad Stearns. I don't know exactly where he's running right behind Chad Stearns. That's 9th on track. So he started borderline last, had an EOL after the first yellow, and is still driven all the way up to the top 10. That's how fast he is tonight. But unfortunately, 2 laps down, he still finds himself in 23rd at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that at some point here, the 02 of John Daniels and the 43 of Bryden Lindauer are both 2 laps down as well, or about to be. So, if keep up the pace, there's still going to be maybe a couple positions and a couple points. I guess you just gotta make what you can out of it. As we see, man, this is the mess of these drivers. You get to this point where there's lap traffic, but there's lap traffic on different laps, and 2 laps down, 1 lap down, and then your drivers that have saved tires, drivers that have used up tires as we go 3 wide through the middle, the 0-2 going backwards.
So you got guys heavily damaged, guys up in the wall, and you never really know if that wall contact's going to be as bad as it looks, because from your perspective, it might be like they look like they're really hard in the wall and going to slow down and check up the line and get run over, but in their car, they're just barely tagging the outside wall and continuing on. So for Kendall in this position, that is just not a fun situation, and that's why I think Joe Armstrong was so aggressive with his maneuvering to get around everybody as much as he could. There's no change in the lead, by the way. We're not really talking about it too much. Steven Gibson's getting there, but very little ground being made up. About 4.5 seconds back. Jack Painter about 6.5 seconds behind Joe Armstrong. But this is definitely some of the most interesting racing going on. I know the 70 cars are confusing. One of them is Grindel. The other one is Jeremy Cook, still on those tires where he ran the outside, making it work, still up inside the top 10.
It's cool for this league to allow these drivers that they have their certain number that they want to run, so we get 270s, but it just makes our job tougher. So it's we got them straight now. I think we got them figured out, but it's interesting to see on track here. But the 31 here is kind of just trying to do something here with it, trying to get through these guys. But I think he's been saving a little bit because we saw him towards the front and then kind of back up. So we'll see if Stearns is able to get back up towards the top 5.
And it looks like Jeremy Cook has either hit pit road or had a major issue. I believe he tried to get to pit road and went through the wrong one, and now he's actually on pit road. So we are seeing green flag pit stops, but Cook missed his box, basically, is the easiest way to put it. He didn't even get to his pit road. They do have dual pit roads here, so it's a little bit confusing which one they're going to go down. But I don't know if they need to use all of them, because there is a blue line, so I believe it's single pit roads. We'll have to see how that works out. See Cole Freilich working on Jack Painter. That's all for the 3rd position, with William Schmidt right behind them.
Yeah, probably our best battle on the track, and they all kind of have a little bit of clean track here, no lap traffic to deal with, and then you even have the 0-4 of Gabe Wood right there too. He's kind of snuck his way up to the 6th spot here. From starting, he started up in the top 10, but kind of been quiet. We haven't talked too much about him sliding up here into 6 and looking for a top 5.
I was going to say, yeah, I forgot that he honestly started up there that high. Really good run for Gabe tonight. As we see the lap car on the bottom there going around these guys. That's Levi Wolf having just pitted and on fresher tires. I believe James Wright's the same situation down there, passing everybody. Obviously involved in that first accident. When everyone checked up, he ran to the back 51. He's going to go around these guys as well. Both of them 5 laps down, 6 laps down for Levi, back to 24th and 25th.
Armstrong just leading this race, just did another 3 wide pass through the middle, through lap traffic. Not worried about how he's passing him. I think when you get to lap traffic, they're going to race you pretty tough, trying to stay on the lead lap. But the minute that you get, run the middle, we saw it the previous time he did it. The lappers kind of are like, okay, it's the leader, I'll let you go, and he can slide through. As we see the 98 of Caden Reif, and it looks like Pervalarkis is leaving pit road too. It's interesting. He just passed halfway here, so I think a lot of these drivers are thinking, let's just split it right down the middle. I think that's a great call. I think you're gonna overall, if this stays green the whole time, would be great. But I think if caution comes out, it pretty much would ruin your race.
Yeah, I think the other thing is you see Carpenter now right up here with Jack Painter. He's really moved his way up there. That's not too far behind Cole Freilich for 3rd and everything, but obviously 2 laps down still. Just kind of running this one long. He's up to 14th, though, as they run. That's how much ground he's actually made up. So if he gets a yellow, he could be in a really good spot to gain just positions back. And because we only have 10 guys on a lead lap, he could end up in the top 15 pretty easily if it all works out the way he needs it to. But the other thing for Joe Armstrong is just the fact that, yeah, he's on a partial schedule. He's just here so he can make those 3 wide moves. He doesn't care about points. He doesn't care if he gets wrecked out. He doesn't want to be wrecked out, but you can make those moves when you're on a partial schedule and there's not a whole lot to be running from here. So 5-second lead, trying to keep it that way, trying to put as many guys lap down as he can. And right now, that's kind of his MO.
And the thing that I've noticed too is we see these drivers, Stearns here is running the bottom, just I think trying to make a pass on Schmidt. But you see Freilich, you see Gabe Wood, they're all running the top. And meanwhile, Armstrong, whenever he's able to get by himself, he's still running the bottom. And I think that's really shows how great that he is at this and able to save his stuff. And on lap 84, still be able to just keep rolling the bottom and extending that lead.
Yeah, we now have less than 10 cars on the lead lap, and I think the big thing right now to worry about is these faster cars are running up on these slower cars and nearly wrecking themselves with how slow these guys are on old tires. I saw Armstrong almost got run over by Pervolarkis trying to get around other lap traffic because Pervolarkis just wasn't aware of how slow the 22 was going to be on those older tires. So I think that's another reason why some of these guys are staying out. As long as they are, you don't know if you might catch a yellow, and you certainly don't want to be caught on pit road or caught any laps down if you're sitting here in the top 10 on the lead lap. So the interesting thing is if this runs green all the way through, how this is going to work out on tires because of how much quicker these guys on newer tires are actually running. What kind of advantage are they going to have, and what is this going to look like afterwards? As Mo Perry now goes lap down. That is 7 cars on the lead lap as we take lap 88.
And we have the 63 of Kaloff and the 70 of Grindel have pitted. Now we have the 52 of Nolan Sanford. I know the 70 of Grindel and the 52 of Sanford were both top 10 running cars. So I think it's interesting that a little bit beyond the halfway point of this race. So I think that's a little bit more concerning because now you had to have been on old tires much longer than you on that first run there than maybe you would have liked, but maybe they just thought, I can't handle it anymore. I don't think I can go any further. So it'll be interesting to see if some of these lead guys are able to just run this pretty much all the way to the end. It'd be tough, but it'd be interesting to see if they can do it.
Yeah, I don't really know what fuel mileage is here. I don't know that they can go too much further than about 115-ish laps, but Grindel was already reporting that he had 33% wear left on the right front, so he was really killing the right front tire. And I guess out of all this, we've only really seen one mistake, and it was out of Jeremy Cook, who still finds himself in 12th, only 3 laps down, so he might still have a pretty nice bounce back from this just because of the advantage on the fresher tires. But he was the one that I was watching to see how big of an advantage he'd have as he actually goes around Armstrong and gets one of his laps back here. But he still came out ahead of Grindel and Sims and some others, so we'll have to see how this all works out. But right now, very confusing to know who's on what strategy, as I believe, I don't know that Cole Freilich is pit yet. We've only got 6 on the lead lap, though. We're trying to work through it.
Yeah, we just had the 7th place running 97 of Jack Painter. He just hit pit road. So yeah, I think the front 5 or 6 here, it'll be interesting to see how far they can go. I think yeah, you're at some point gonna have, and we've had these moments where we have these drivers that are on some of the oldest tires and then having to race around these brand new tires. I think that's your biggest concern if you're Armstrong, is if a caution comes out and when that timing is. So I think for now it's looking pretty green and looking pretty good, but we have our stack ups throughout the track. Here's one that you got these lappers that have the fresh tires kind of trying to run the bottom. Here's the 97 just coming off of pit road, and it's a tight battle through these corners.
And the 97 of Jack Painter, 19% left on his right front. These guys are burning through that right front tire. So you got to imagine that Joe Armstrong is just not doing that. And he's the one guy that's been managing it all race, and everyone else is kind of getting tight and not really able to make that work. And I wonder if that's from running the top. Remember, Jack ran the top for a while, got caught by Freilich, got caught by Gibson and others, and ended up going backwards and pitting from about that 7th position. So you got to wonder if maybe just running that top for as long as they did just really burned out that right front, and Joe running the bottom has really saved his race so far.
Yeah, I think that, and I kind of did a couple lap run just to kind of see what that potential fuel is. As Armstrong's now on pit road, I just saw him pull down. And I was thinking you could maybe get to, like you were saying, maybe 115, 120. I think you could get to 130 maybe on fuel. But even, we had that one caution. your pace slows down a ton. Maybe you could do this whole race on tires. I don't know. I think here comes everybody else. Now we got the 04 Gabe Wood, Cole Frelick's down pit road, William Schmidt. This is lap 100. That's when, or 101, everyone's deciding to pit.
And yeah, the other issue here is it is just one whole pit road, so you are going all the way around the track on pit road. It's not dual pit stops. So under green, these guys are going down both pit road sections, so it's a long time on pit road. And to your point, everyone kind of pits at the same time, so it doesn't look like they can go too much further here. Whether it's tires or fuel, it looks like about 100 to 105 is pretty much where we are. Gibson on pit road as we speak. I believe Mo Perry is the only one left that has yet to hit pit road. Armstrong already back out on track, still inside the top 5.
Another driver that has not hit pit road is the 20 of Kendall Carpenter, and that's going to get him up into the top 10 here. I think this is kind of a Hail Mary here, hoping that he gets a caution. But it'll be interesting to see now as we got the both 70 cars, Jeremy Cook and then Harry Grindell, who were able to pit a little bit earlier than our leaders. They've actually jumped our leaders now, and though they have a little bit older tires, they're going to gain some track position from this. We'll see how long they can hold those positions as we see that Armstrong's already catching the 70 of Cook right now.
I was going to say, unfortunately for Cook, not very long. Again, he also missed his pit stall. He went down the wrong one. Again, single pit road here, and he went down the back stretch when I believe he was on the front stretch. You need to go down just one pit road. Didn't get fined or flagged or anything for it. He just slowed down way more than he needed to, obviously. So he will lose out some ground to that, and obviously the old tires don't help him. But so far, big net gain for him from 26th all the way up to currently 3rd as he puts himself back on the lead lap going around Mo Perry. Mo Perry, Kendall Carpenter, the only two yet to pick. Carpenter really trying to just hold out and hope that one of these guys gets run over and brings out a yellow. Or, I mean, at this point, I think he'd be okay beating the yellow. It puts him just one lap down and gets him basically a top 16.
And we see that Frelick is basically on the bumper of the 22 here, and obviously he's down a lap compared to the 22. So maybe just I know he was down a little bit as far as distance, but obviously maybe just a bad pit stop or pit exchange as far as coming down pit road. But yeah, the 41 of Perry was able to stay out so long that he had the whole field lapped at least for a moment. So that's I guess we'll give him some kudos for that. Even no matter how you get it, if you lap the whole field, I'll give you credit for that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. He's just hoping for a caution, kind of like the 20 of Carpenter.
Yeah, I think Armstrong's next bet is to do the same thing. He's gotten, I think, Frelick is currently 13. So yeah, we'd still have about 10 cars on the lead lap, it looks like, when this sorts its way through. Or he's about to put Frelick 2 laps down. So definitely doing a number on these boys tonight is Joe Armstrong. And about a 3.5-second lead over Harry Grindell at the current moment. Jeremy Cook as well. Jack Painter's made up some ground, but not a ton. And now here he comes to get Kendall Carpenter. That's Joe Armstrong right there behind him. Now goes around Kendall Carpenter that quickly. Armstrong putting on a crazy pace. Carpenter up in the wall. Nearly was the accident that he needs, but still just holding on here with those tires. 110 plus laps in this race.
Yeah, it's I give him some credit for being able to do it. Meanwhile, Perry doing the same thing, just hoping for that caution. He's kind of in a spot right now where these drivers here are having to just navigate traffic. So even though they're flying and they're catching them really quickly, they're having to go through the traffic that he's not really too worried about until now, because he's got the older tires. That traffic that these guys are passing easily is going to pass him easily, which is going to maybe bring them all together at the same time.
I'll tell you what, Kendall Carpenter is making a roadblock in certain situations. There were guys on the apron trying to avoid that 20 car. He's just really slow out there. Again, just holding out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing, but just praying for that yellow. Has already slipped back to 16th, is about to go, I believe he's 2 laps down now. No, he's at the end of 1 lap down, so all the way down to 16th as Armstrong's actually taking the lead back from Perry already. And just trying to hope for that yellow, but him and Perry still have yet to hit pit road. We assume Mo Perry will probably hit pit road here very shortly.
Yeah, and I think now it looks like to me that Carpenter. I think that ultimately, if he would have pitted with kind of where the leaders were, or where a majority of this field was, kind of in the middle of the race, it probably would have been the move to maybe gain a couple positions just because his pace was so great on that first run. But I think this was more of a Hail Mary to potentially get back on the lead lap and maybe even contend tonight. So I like the idea of going for that Hail Mary and trying something as the 41 Mo Perry. He did the same thing and now has hit pit road. I give those guys all the credit for trying something. We'd love to see that.
I agree. I do kind of wonder what could have been for Carpenter if he would have just pitted even a little early, like say lap 70-ish, and get those fresher tires and try to make something out of it, as he now is going to hit pit road from about the 15th position. But we're going to have to see where he ends up cycling out. It's just not going to really do him too much good staying out that long now, nearly 120 laps in with only 30 laps to gain spots back. But Joe Armstrong comes out 7-second lead over Jack Painter as that's kind of cycled its way through. Harry Grindell, Jeremy Cook, our 270 cars, starting to lose a little bit of ground on the older tires. Steven Gibson, who looked really fast early, as he goes to the apron, they're nearly wrecking there with Hal Hoof and Gibson. Gibson making his way up to fourth, trying to get to third, up to Grindell.
Yeah, and I think that looking at Gibson in the 21, definitely the freshest tires of. We talked about our 270 cars. You said it. They pitted earlier, so right now Gibson's able to get around them probably pretty easily. I guess he's another about half a straightaway behind the 70 of Grindell here, but yeah, just a little bit fresher tires. 9 seconds back from the leader, which here at Bristol, that's almost 2/3 of a lap. So it's gonna be tough to use these tires to maybe contend for the win, but we'll see if he can potentially get back up to second here.
Also, a quick shout out, Jackson Sims is up inside the top 10 here, currently 8th. Just got passed by Cole Freilich, but he pitted pretty early, and he's about to get passed by William Schmidt just behind him. But it's kind of worked out for him pretty well. He's actually going to catch Jeremy Cook, so he's still going to gain a spot here and be about 8th as this works itself out. He was running back about 20th before all this started the race in 23rd, so really good bounce back for him to find himself up inside the top 10. We're going to have to see how that lasts for the next 25 laps, though.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of if we get that caution, and we still have these guys bouncing off the wall. We see a couple of them there, some fast cars. Now we got the 20 of Kendall Carpenter on fresh tires, just drives right by these drivers. It's that's the biggest thing now, is if we get that caution and what would happen then, because we have a lot of drivers trying to stay one lap down, trying to stay on the lead lap, and that could really give them a second chance if a caution did come out.
You just saw Steven Gibson get around Jack Painter. That's for second. Doesn't really matter about how far up Joe Armstrong is. He's just gone, but these guys have still been racing really hard for second, and Gibson has been the guy that has the pace. I think if he could get a nice reset here, get himself a yellow, he might be the one challenger for Joe Armstrong. But unfortunately, not anything he can do about it at the moment. Still 8.4 seconds off that 22 car as he tries to work his way through lap traffic here.
And now we see the 70 of Jeremy Cook is gotten far enough back, is now gone a lap down. The 45 of Sims, who had pitted early, now kind of on that backside. You're gonna pay the price for getting those fresh tires earlier than these lead drivers. So we see the 15 of Cole Freilich pitted on lap 99, and so did the 04 of Gabe Wood. So they're kind of on equal footing here. So it'll be interesting to see a battle for a top 5 spot as the 15 is going to look to the inside of Wood here.
Yeah, Gabe's just done a really good job of managing this race. He's put himself up inside the top 5, like you said, and has been running right around there all day. Slipped back to about 10th when this race really got going, and has just kind of methodically worked his way back up, and has been really good with his tire management, and that's what puts himself in this top 5 spot right now. I don't know that he's going to have a chance to go get Jack Painter. I mean, Painter did fall off pretty much, pretty bad on that first run, and he pitted earlier than a lot of these guys. He was one of the first in the top 10 to pit, and had fallen all the way back to about 7th. So good little bounce back for Jack. We'll have to see how well he can contend over Gabe Freilich and Grindell just behind him.
Yeah, and I thought Grindel there, as we saw both the 04 and the 15 pass Grindel, he did a great job being 13 to 15 lap older tires compared to these drivers, doing a great job just running that top lane. You can kind of play a little bit of defense. Ultimately having a tire disadvantage, you're going to lose at some point, but you can definitely do a great job of defending a little bit and hold your position for a while, as we see our leader going to try another one of those 3 wide middle passes, it looks like.
He does.
Wow. And now you have the 41 of Mo Perry, who's obviously got the freshest tires of a lot of these drivers because he ran so long on that first run.
I mean, that just shows you how impressive Joe Armstrong's been all night. I mean, I know he's got much fresher tires than these guys, but to just drive up on 2 guys that are running inside the top 10 and 2 guys that have what I'd say are top 5 cars at certain points tonight and just drive right around them like they're sitting still is pretty insane. So William Schmidt still working on Harry Grindel up there, but Joe Armstrong putting on a beating, and Painter's actually falling back to Gabe Wood. We could have a nice little battle here between these guys again, all for this 3rd spot. 10 to go.
Yeah, and they're now all going to be in a spot here, trying to not only battle for potentially a podium finish in 3rd, but also to stay on the lead lap, as the 22 is now in the same straightaway as them and catching them. So as the 04 is going to get to the inside of Painter here, we'll see if Freilich is patient enough to see what happens here. So here comes the 22.
He's patient, but he's also going to take him 3 if he has to. Freilich to the bottom. Here comes Joe Armstrong. Really fresh tires right under Jack Painter side by side. As we close in on 5 to go, Joe Armstrong has absolutely put on a clinic and has decided that he just wants 2 guys at maximum to finish on the lead lap as he tries to get under Painter and looks towards Cole Freilich now as he clears Painter off turn 2.
And you're these drivers running up in the top 5. You're basically probably thinking, come on, Joe. Why don't you give us a little bit of a break here? We're trying to get this battle. I think also if you're Armstrong, it's kind of fun to be able to say, like, well, I lapped everybody but 2 or 3 drivers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here as the 22 running kind of on that bottom lane here in the last couple laps. It's going to make it tough for Freilich because if he has a chance to get around Wood, you don't have much room because there's a driver to your inside running the bottom.
Yeah, and he's also got Mo Perry lined up behind him there too. 3 to go this time by as he takes the stripe. And I think the funniest thing for Joe Armstrong is, hey, if you didn't get that yellow on lap 4, maybe you do lap them all here because he's only another 5 seconds behind Stephen Gibson. It's over a half a lap ahead of Gibson here. So 2 to go as he crosses the line. You see Mo Perry get really loose. That kind of hurts Freilich the most. Freilich looked like he may have had a chance to get to a podium, but Mo Perry's just kind of side by side with Gabe Wood.
Yeah, definitely the Joe Armstrong show tonight. Shout out to the 21 of Stephen Gibson for being the best of the rest. But yeah, it was a quick race like we talked about, but this 22 is going to try to bring her home.
Best of the rest is an understatement. Joe Armstrong comes off of turn 4, has 2 guys on the lead lap, will slide it across the start finish line. Winner, Joe Armstrong, here at Bristol. Stephen Gibson will finish a strong 2nd. Gabe Wood actually holds on to 3rd over Cole Freilich, Jack Painter, Chad Stearns, William Schmidt, Harry Grindel ends up 8th. Jackson Sims holds on to 9th, and Jeremy Cook still slides up into that top 10. Very interesting finish there with the fact that we still had guys that started back in the 20s finish up inside the top 10, but Joe Armstrong absolutely cooked them tonight, and he's going to burn it down for us here on the front stretch with cars still going by, trying to finish the race, trying to not hit the 22. I believe that was John Daniels going by. Wow. I don't even know what to say about that, Ross. That was a 42-minute race, 1 caution, and Joe Armstrong absolutely put a whooping on him.
Yeah, there's something about Bristol, and like we talked about, 150 laps will go by quick, especially when you have a quick car like the 22 of Armstrong out front. But yeah, I think it'll be really fun to chat with some of these drivers to see kind of what they thought of somewhat of a minefield to get through with a lot of different tire strategies going on and different things happening. Yeah, it'll be fun to chat with some of them.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that right now. We'll bring in Gabe Wood, 3rd place finisher. First guy a lap down, unfortunately. Gabe, you got to hold off Cole Freilich there, but give us a little bit of a rundown of how your race was, finishing in third after starting seventh tonight.
Well, I tell you what, it's a good day whenever I keep Cole Freilich in my mirror. I tell you what, it's hard holding them off, flipping them off with one hand for about 40 laps. But no, it was a lot of fun. I saved tires really early in the first run, and I took a big advantage of it late in the run. Who was it? Stearns. Chad Stearns. He did a great job. He saved even more tires than I did. He was able to pull away. I'm surprised he didn't get back up there to us. I hate that. He had a fast car too. But no, it was fun. I love Bristol. It's just Joe was in another zip code tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned being able to hold off Freilich. How'd you feel halfway through that race when you kind of found your pace? You were running about 10th, and then you found your way up into the top 5. Did you feel like you really had a third place car at the end of it, or did you think you were going to get caught by Freilich and a couple of those guys back there?
No, I had a pretty good. I had a third place run going. I knew if I kind of gambled on the fact that we would go green flag, and I just kind of rode the bottom. Everybody went to the top to try and get track position. I just rode the bottom, and then in between cars, about 60 laps into the run, I just kind of went to the middle lane, got by him, and then ducked back down to the middle. And once the guys started getting really choked up on the top, I was actually able to make the bottom lane work around them. So it was a good day.
Gabe, we had a pleasure watching you tonight. Really happy to see you finish third. Do you have anyone you want to thank for tonight?
Yeah, actually, thanks to Eclipse Claim Consulting. They hopped on board about halfway through this year. They're our real life Xfinity sponsor. They do a lot of insurance claims, a lot of insurance claims adjusting. I want to thank them. They are one hell of a sponsor in real life and on the sim. So I want to thank them. Shout out to those guys.
All right. Sounds good, Gabe. Appreciate it. And congrats on your third place finish.
Thank you.
And last but not least, unfortunately, we don't have Steven Gibson here tonight, so we'll have to bring in Joe Armstrong, your winner. We were talking about the fact that you put a whooping on him, and you come in here and only 2 guys on the lead lap. You lead virtually every lap. Can you walk us through kind of your game plan for tonight and how you, first of all, got the lead right off the start? We didn't really expect that. And second of all, just absolutely obliterated the field tonight, Joe.
Yeah, so I didn't expect to run this race tonight, and about 8:55, like 5 minutes before qualifying, I was like, might as well run it. Nothing else to do on Thursday evening, and qualified third. And Kendall, I guess, had a penalty from incident points, and he started at the back or 2 laps down or whatever it was. So I started on the front row. Nolan picked the top, and I thought that the top would kind of, I thought he'd roll the top better, to be honest with you. And I think he spun the tires a little bit on the start, which allowed me to edge ahead. And then he ran the wall in 1 and 2, and I was able to clear him from there and had the caution on like 5 laps in or whatever it was. And after that, it was just kind of smooth sailing. Got away on the restart and just kind of managed the gap for the first maybe 20 laps of the run. And then at that point, it was just drive away, go as hard as possible. Tried to run it long. Got to lap 100, and I was like, all right, I got to pit. And fortunately, the pace that I had up to that point allowed me to kind of pit and stay ahead of everybody else behind me, and then continue to drive away after the tires fell off. So fun race. Very rarely on iRacing do you get green Bristol race or green short track races, and fortunately tonight was one of those nights where we did get a green flag run.
Yeah, obviously you ran really well at Kearns. We weren't incredibly surprised to see this, and I know you're excited for the rest of the short tracks on the schedule. Hoping we get to see you at Rockingham and Lucas Oil later on in the season. But for tonight, was there a real difference between the top lane and the bottom lane? As far as we saw you pretty much just on the bottom, a lot of guys are running the top. Do you feel like running the bottom is what kind of helped you conserve tire and make it through the race?
I think for sure at the beginning of the race, it definitely helped for that first 20 laps, and with the way the race played out, getting a green flag run, saving for the first 15 or 20 laps, kind of the difference maker. You saw it with Steven Gibson. I don't know where he started, but he was able to kind of get up to second and was running faster lap times than me about 3/4 of the way through that first, right before green flag pit stops or whatever. So I knew the middle would kind of come in after the tires fell off, and I tried to go up there and make some time. And then when guys would start pitting and driving around me, I kind of just stayed on the bottom and tried to like be easy with it because I didn't want to kind of cause a wreck or anything like that with a lap car. The top did come in, so I did kind of go up there a little bit just to kind of maintain lap time with all the lappers. But whenever I had clean racetrack, it was kind of like middle to bottom. And then after the pit stops or whatever, I was kind of able to just go wherever since the track was rubbered in and all the grooves were kind of raceable without wearing the tires out too much.
Regardless, really impressive run watching all that happen. A lot of the 3-wide moves with the lap cars and everything, really fun to watch. Can you give us a little bit of insight on what's next? Obviously, you're running a part-time schedule. You're definitely coming back to Rockingham and Lucas Oil, right? We're trying to make sure we get to see you more.
Man. You know, I'm not a big Rockingham fan, to be completely honest. So probably not Rockingham. I know that's in a couple of weeks. I'll be back more than likely for Vegas next week. Probably not Iowa or Watkins Glen. No, I might be. I'll be able to run a few more races. IRP is definitely like one of the tracks that I'm looking forward to. So hopefully December 5th I'll be free to run that one because that's like one of my favorite tracks on the game. But more than likely you'll see me a little bit more often now that Road to Pro's over for me, and so I'll be able to run a little bit more often on Thursday nights. So hopefully we can continue the domination next week and throughout the rest of the year or the rest of the season. But yeah, I'm looking forward to everything that the rest of the season holds for me.
Well, we're looking forward to hopefully having you back in the booth. Another strong run tonight. Anyone you want to thank for it?
Thank you to Jonathan Oates and everybody at OSRL, like in like the admin group. I've been, like I said early in the early interview at Current, I've been running this league since the beginning. And so just to come back and now be able to finally like win consistently in the league is pretty fun to see like the driver development of myself. Shout out to you guys once again for putting on the broadcast. So everybody watching at home could see me whip the field again. And then shout out to my guys that I work with on the open side with Express Esports. Not that they had any part in this, but just shout out to them. And shout out to SimSeats. Shout out to SimSeats too. I work with them or work for them, so they hooked me up with a rig. So I got to shout them out.
Got to get them all in there. Well, Joe, appreciate having you in the booth. Really fun watching you tonight. Hope you have a good rest of your evening. Go celebrate this win.
Absolutely. Y'all have a blessed night.
That is Joe Armstrong, your winner here tonight. I don't even know how many laps he led, but it was enough. Ross, I'll lend it off to you. I've been talking enough. Any final thoughts here on kind of what we just saw and witnessed?
Well, I could go through the results. How about that? Let's. I'll give you the break for chatting with our race winner, Joe Armstrong. He brings home the win, and just right that you just brought up laps led 132. We're gonna give a shout out to Mo Perry, who is not on this page, for breaking it up, and even Gibson able to get a couple laps led too, finishing our only other driver on the lead lap. But Gabe Wood in the 04 was third. Freilich got back into the top 5 and wasn't able to get around Wood at the end there. We saw that battle towards the end, but able to finish 4th. The 97 of Jack Painter was 5th. The 31 of Chad Stearns in 6th. The 79 of William Schmidt in 7th. Harry Grindell, who was one of those drivers that pitted a little bit early, along with the 45 of Jackson Sims. Both still able to get a top 10, which is great. And then even Jeremy Cook in the other 70 car was able to do the same thing by pitting early and basically running on these tires as long as they can for the second half of the race.
And Nolan Sanford will round out your 11th place running. Trying to get to it. Caden Reif ends up 12th. Tristan Baker in 13th. Justin Knutson, we saw running inside the top 5 for a little bit of that race, ends up 14th. Isaac Johnson 15th. Chris Pervalarkis ends up 16th. Mo Perry, we were talking about, led 12 laps. Felt like it was a lot more, honestly, but 12 out of that one. Ends up 17th. Henry Calhouf, who was involved in one of the original incidents, ends up 18th. Kendall Carpenter bounces to 19th after his penalty to start the race 2 laps down. And that is Michael Deitch in 20th.
Yeah, interesting to see where Carpenter kind of ended up. We talked about kind of the strategy that he was running to get there at the end, but our final finishers, the 21, our finishing 21st in the 243 was Chelsea Carter. The 02 of John Daniels was 22nd. The 50 of James Wright in 23rd. Levi Wolf in the 13 car comes home 24th, and then Bryden Lindauer in the finished 25th. Ruby Estes part of that early accident and was not able to get back rolling after a couple laps, and then a couple of our drivers at the back here are just our admins. But that's our 26 finishers tonight here at Bristol.
And that completes the Chris Lilly Designs night race at Bristol, part of OSRL. And I guess, moving forward, obviously we've still got Vegas and Rockingham, but who are kind of your picks looking forward here, Ross, before we get off the air real quick?
Yeah, I think if Armstrong's there, I'll take him. Might as well. That's obviously his specialty seems to be short tracks. It'll be really fun to see if he mentioned trying to get to run Vegas next week. It'll be interesting to see how he does in that. I think if Carpenter's not able to tonight had to race with both hands tied behind his back with that 2-lap penalty, it's interesting to see where he's at. But it was also great to see some of these other drivers sneak up there. Steven Gibson, Gabe Wood, Jack Painter, some of these guys that are always in contention for a top 5 in the series, kind of get a little bit more of a spotlight tonight as our front runners as far as points. Freilich and Carpenter were maybe not race winners tonight, but still out there on pace. So yeah, it'll be fun to see what happens next week at Vegas.
Yeah, we still have 7 races left. Kendall Carpenter leaves here 20 points to the negative to Cole Freilich. So a lot to be doing for Carpenter, but definitely an attainable goal still ahead. So it'll be interesting to see those guys duke it out as they start at the beginning of the season towards the end now. But that'll do it here for Split Second Broadcasting. I'm Elliot Henderson alongside Ross Brockman with Jeff Johnson in the booth working all the controls and giving you all the camera angles for tonight. We will see you next week from Las Vegas here on Split Second Broadcasting. Good night.